Orientation, is it looking good? I don't know. So let me set up the old camera holder. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Probably not too many people watching right now. Not a big deal. Because, oh yeah, I gotta press the old record with the other camera. I wanted to record this with two cameras just in case. Just in case, you never know. I'm live, here I am. What are we going to talk about today? I had a couple videos planned. I have many videos planned, but I have 3 videos planned, and this is a totally unplanned video. But I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm working on the book, my ghost hunting book. On Instagram, I'm at ghost.hunting. I've been working on a ghost hunting book for years. More specifically for about, I don't know, 3 years. I've been working on it for about 2 years, off and on. 3 years. Basically, I started it after my tombstone investigation, so that might have been 3 or 4 years ago. But I've really been working on it more the past 2 years. But 3 years ago, I did start it, and I wrote like 10 pages. And it was just a framework of what I was going to continue to work on. And that framework sat there for a while. But I have a lot of pages. I intended on being a booklet, then I was going to make a booklet without demons and a booklet mentioning demons. For the less demon inclined, I understand it might be a little scary of a subject for them. But you know what? The final version says, I'm putting the demons chapter in there. And it's more than just one chapter. I'm working on artwork. A lot of it is done. This isn't fully done yet. I haven't fully shaded it yet. But this is my Corners of Rooms artistic depiction. You might remember that 2018 Corners of Rooms video I did. Well, this is actually just a line drawing. All right. Let me click on my channel itself so I can see your comments. I vaguely saw that comment. Let me click over here, pause it, and now I could see Brandon said, hey, coming in good. Thank you. You can hear me? Am I loud enough? All right. So this is the Corners of Rooms drawing. I'm going to shade it with more black. Here's an example of the Hollywood investigation I did. Am I into Paranormal Activity? Well, I have to say I've never seen that movie. I've never seen any of the Paranormal Activity movies, none of them. But in the year 2010, an entity appeared in my open closet. And then in 2011, I rented a room that was extremely poltergeist haunted. I don't think they're disconnected. I think the two instances of 2 different houses, one having something in the closet for one singular night, and never before, never since, but left such an impression on me, it was intensely frightening. So I became a ghost hunter, but I didn't immediately become a ghost hunter. I literally pushed off the subject and avoided and ignored the subject for many years. I started being a ghost hunter about 2018, maybe late 2017, but basically 2018. So 2010, super frightening thing happens to me. 2011, I rented a room that happened to have a couple poltergeist entities in it. 2011, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. So a good 5 years I ignored the subject, wanted nothing to do with it, other than collecting occult books, because I wanted to research the subject. You can only research the subject so much until you come to the conclusion a good 75% of the words in these occult books just rehashed stuff from people who've never left their house. They're just rehashing philosophical ideas. You pretty much got to get out there if you want to see something firsthand, unless the entities come to you. And even then, you want to go out there and try to get some scientific data to validate what's going on. Here's a really quick tracing of a screenshot from my Hollywood Boulevard ghost investigation. I traced it by hand, and then I'm going to fill it in and shade it in, color it in, and turn it into a drawing. But even tracing something as simple as that took a good amount of time. It probably took me 30 minutes to trace that. And here we have a 53.3 milligauss spike, and that wasn't even a big one. That was like an average spike on that investigation. 53 milligauss is a huge spike anywhere. If you hold it up to an outlet that's leaking too much, you'll get a spike like that. But walking down the street, you shouldn't get a spike like that unless you're 1 inch away from an electrical lamp that's leaking way too much. EMF, electromagnetic field, electricity. Ed and Lorraine Warren. Yeah, I've heard of Ed and Lorraine Warren. I've listened to many of their interviews on Art Bell when they were alive. And when I hear the kids talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren, it's turned into a phenomenon. I haven't watched all of the Ed and Lorraine Warren themed movies. I haven't watched any of the Annabelle ones. But I have seen a couple of them. I think I've seen three. And they're a pretty good tag team of actors. I think they do a pretty good job. Your phone won't let you super chat. Don't worry about it, Brandon. I appreciate you being here. How old are those books? Well, I don't have any books in front of me. Right now I have some Garbage Pail Kids in front of me from 1985. Here's Adam Baum, a wall plaque. Like, who's going to put this on their wall? Who would literally be tacky enough to put this 1985 Garbage Pail Kid wall plaque on their wall? Who's going to, look, it has adhesive. Who's going to be tacky enough to put this on their wall? Seriously. All right, so I collect Garbage Pail Kids. I have since I was a kid. No big deal, just a sentimental thing you do when you're a kid, When I was a kid, Series 1 and Series 2 were sold out before I even heard of them. So I had to retroactively collect them by going backwards, But as a kid, I went from baseball card shop to baseball card shop asking, do you have Garbage Pail Kids? And 9 times out of 10, these sports card shop owners were like, I hate that non-sports card crap. We only buy and sell football, baseball, basketball, maybe hockey. None of that Garbage Pail Kid stuff. But, 1 times out of 9, you'd hit a guy who had like 10 boxes on the shelf. Sure, take your pick. We got some Series 4, Series 5, and 6. But one time I got lucky. And I asked the same question I always ask. Do you have any Garbage Pail Kids? And the guy said, yeah, we got a couple here. I said, do you have any Series 1, 2, 3? Some old ones. Not 3, but 1 and 2 is what I wanted to focus on. And every time I heard, no. We don't got it. But one time, the baseball card shop guy said, yeah, I got a stack of Series 1 Garbage Pail Kids. We don't have any in the package, but we got a stack of them. You want to buy them? They're $1 each. And I was like, okay, sounds good. $1 each. I think I had a $20 bill in my pocket even as a little kid. I must have saved it up. Because I didn't ordinarily have that in my pocket. But I saved it up and I had 20 bucks. And this was a long time ago, okay? $1 a piece. And I still have those cards. Here's some of them. Here's some of the cards from that card shop. But here's the more mint condition cards from that card shop. I paid $1 for a Blasted Billy. It's in pretty good condition. This is one of my best condition Series 1s. I paid $1 for this Nasty Nick. This Nasty Nick is in immaculate condition. It's maybe a 9, an 8 at worst. very good condition if it were to be graded. I don't like grading my cards, no big deal. And this is a paranormal channel. Why am I showing GPKs? Because anything motivates me, all right? If it motivates me, I get it, all right? Big fan of William Refrigerator Perry, The Fridge. So I got his G.I. Joe. He's a very cool G.I. Joe. I got it. But let me show you the poster for the winners of the contest. Now, I don't like this poster as much as I thought I would. So if you like it, let me know if I should just ship it out as is like this, or if I should rework it. I was going to work on a border. I was going to work on some graphics. Here's what I have so far as the poster. Now you're going to see a sneak preview of the brand new Mysterialis Ghost Investigation logo. Probably shouldn't be showing you this, but here it is. Here's the poster for the winners. Now, I understand it's just a piece of paper, but I'm going to sign it. I'm going to include with it an official document stating that you are an official MGIC member. Here is the Mysterialis Ghost Investigation poster that I'm going to mail to the winners of that contest. Now, it's a work in progress. I was going to get harder, thicker cardboard stock, but this is the new logo I designed. I worked on it for a long time. What do you think about it? Give me your honest opinion. I made the borders, bones / lightning. I featured that sun that I drew. I really like the sun. So I wanted to put them in the place where the teeth used to be. I wanted the M to be a bolt of lightning and a femur bone. And I left the original spikes from the original M. And it's kind of like a runic type M, Mysterialis Ghost Investigation. And here's the poster as it is right now. I had it printed up. I don't like the cardstock. It's not cardstock at all. Matter of fact, I went to a copy machine just yesterday to print this. This feels almost thicker. So I can go back, no big deal. I am going to print it. If you think it looks good, you like it, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I guess I should just get some markers and sign it on up and send it on out. I might be sending these things out in installments. I just want to get something out to you winners, and I want to put something on the website. Mysterialis.com is empty and blank. It just forwards to this channel, youtube.com/Hughshunter. And I would like to have a website with something there substantial. You want to support the channel, you want to get a t-shirt. Some people don't have access to the Teespring links. They disappear. Teespring tends to have some disappearing mechanism where the t-shirt designs disappear. They even disappeared for me. So if I have links and images to those links on Mysterialis.com, hopefully you can 24 hours a day see those things. I'm designing new t-shirts for the channel, but I just wanted to give you a sneak preview. I do have some artwork here that is for the book. As far as the book progress is going pretty good. I wish I could show you. Isn't it NFT? Nah, I don't know, NFTs, I guess, are a good way to raise money and to give something back to the person donating, basically. I'm open to the possibility of NFTs, but it's such a new thing that what if it disappears by the time I have my NFT out? I guess it's a thing. I guess it's a deal. Even Tops are having Garbage Pail Kids NFTs. True story. You can collect digital, virtual. You can buy a pack like this, except it's in the virtual world, and you open it on up, and there's a limited number of these Garbage Pail Kids. Maybe there's 1,000 of this particular one, whatever. This is just the wrapper. I like the artwork. I snagged it. Thought it was pretty cool. It's a mini poster. And I was thinking about maybe trying to make it skinnier or longer. So this is a work in progress. I'm going to work on the poster. I'm going to continue to work on it, but I probably will ship it out as is, just like that. I ordered some cases for these Garbage Pail Kids. I'm going to have a Garbage Pail Kid pack opening video. Here's a Series 1 pack that's never been opened. And I'm going to be opening up this on a video just for fun. I guarantee the proceeds will help the channel. Anything will help the channel. And even motivational things. So stay tuned. The book. How many pages? If you have any questions, a long time. Vic LTD. Thanks for joining us. Luna Sparkles, thanks for joining us. Colin, thanks for joining us. Brandon, Brando. Any good scary movie suggestions coming from a ghost hunter? Well, I just saw the TV show. What's it called? What's that show called? I gotta Google it. What's it called? Truth Seekers? Have you ever seen that TV show Truth Seekers on Amazon? I just saw Truth Seekers. It's a hilarious / sort of scary show. I liked it. I was stoked about season 2. I Googled it and it was not renewed, and it's an old show. It's new to me. Truth Seekers, I recommend that show. It's pretty cool. As far as scary movies, see, I'm not into scary movies. I could see someone that constantly sought out the paranormal would be die hard into scary movies. But I have never been a horror fan. I'm more into the Ninth Gate, mystery type movies. Full-blown things getting cut off with saws and blades. I'm not into that. I've never seen any of the Saw movies, for example. And so, I'm not into the die-hard horror genre. I'm more into the mystery and even the comedy stuff. But as far as the book is coming along pretty good. I've been focusing on the drawings the past 2 weeks straight. What I do is I will trace out a screenshot, or I'll draw something that's an idea, and then I'll print it out, scan it, print it out, scan it, print it out, scan it, until it looks perfect to me. Here's an example. Here's one example. Here's the Tucson Tunnel. Working on this Tucson Tunnel sketch for the Tucson Tunnel chapter in my book. And the Tucson Tunnel chapter is fully done. It's a done chapter. It's a done deal. I finished it. I can scroll through it real quick. I might show you a scroll through. But this is the exact moment that a spirit left a very impressionist, a very strong impression, an EVP, electronic voice phenomena. I have another printout with what it says. Let me find it. I don't want to mess up these drawings too much. I went to Office Depot to print these out. I don't have a printer. So I got to get my USB drive. I got to plug it on in. And it's a very slow process. It took like 5 minutes to print 4 things. And 5 minutes to print 4 more things. And 5 minutes to print 4 more things. And I was in there for like 20 minutes. And I only printed a couple things. Very slow, the automated system they got there. But this is the exact second a spirit said, "That's not a spirit." And it said it in an old man, gravelly, not too gravelly, just whispery voice. "That's not a spirit." It sounded something to that effect. I'm just mimicking what it sounds like. It's literally a legitimate EVP that takes place during this moment in my Tucson Tunnel video. And I have to give credit. I have to give credit to a guy who pointed that out to me. 3 years ago, there's a guy in my channel. I don't want to misquote his name. So let me look it up. And I have to admit, I was sort of, dismissive of the guy because I didn't read all of his comments. And I wasn't as nice as I should have been. I didn't give him credit. I've never shouted him out. So I need to correct that. I'm going to put his name in the book, even though it's just a YouTube nickname. Let me find this guy's comment. Here it is. His name is Kohlrak. Kohlrak. So 3 years ago, Kohlrak said, find the exact comment. I thought he deleted the comment. That's one of the reasons I didn't give him credit, because when I looked for it last time, it disappeared. But here it is. 3 years ago. You just have to search and click more. 3 years ago, Kohlrak said at the 15-minute and 30-second point of my video entitled Haunted Tunnel, Tucson, Arizona, Mysterious Ghost Investigation, Most Haunted Place I've Ever Investigated, published April 30th, 2018. Kohlrak said at 15 minutes and 30 seconds, quote, "That's not a spirit, period. These spirits don't seem to like you, sir." And that's probably where I was like, I don't think they don't like me. And he went on to say, let me give you a very simple warning about EVPs. People are very sure about Laurel versus Yanny in a recording. Remember the old Laurel versus Yanny thing? I remember that. I remember Norm Macdonald making fun of it. It's a great example and an interesting experiment that I was able to reproduce on my own. If you record both words and superimpose them perfectly on top of one another, you'll hear one but not the other. By changing your headphones and or speakers, as well as playing with the pitch, you can actually change which one you hear. Despite the two words being completely different from one another in our minds, if you actually look at the recordings, they're almost exactly the same. To that end, with EVP, we'll hear what we want to hear. Some of your EVPs that you put subtitles to, my ears disagree. One of which I could have sworn called you a shill in another video. See, that's probably why I was like, I kind of disagree with you, guy. But Kohlrak, I have to give him full credit. He said, that spirit said, that's not a spirit. I played it back 100 times. That's not a spirit, is what it said. And this was many months after I posted the video. So for like 6 months straight, I never knew that EVP was in there until Kohlrak brought it to my attention. So even if he has criticism against me, I still greatly appreciate his feedback. Because when I post a video and I get an EVP, it's legitimate. It's so legitimate that I don't know what the spirit says sometimes. They sound like they're underneath the water. A lot of them sound wispy, raspy, and a lot of them sound like they're whispering 2 inches away from you, and you can't hear it. It's an interesting phenomenon. I'm going to go back to the Tucson Tunnel, but I don't live in Tucson. I'm in California right now, so I'm probably not going to go back to the Tucson Tunnel for a long time. I don't know. Hopefully within a year. We'll see what happens. I would definitely like to bring more people. So the whole point of the Tucson Tunnel was a plan B. Plan A was the slaughterhouse, the more famous place that's known to be haunted, that some guy bought and turned it into an amusement, Halloween-themed, one of those haunted houses where you just go through room to room and actors jump out with rubber knives and pretend to attack you, and they're just popping out to give you a jump scare. And people claim in the boiler room that actual spirits jump out and grab people, and there's no one there, and they're like, what was that? And it built enough of a mystery that the Ghost Adventures crew investigated it. They captured some creepy stuff. I believe a Necronomicon was read, or maybe that was a different one, but I think that was the episode with some kids reading the Necronomicon. And I wanted to visit, and there's not much parking, there's not much sidewalk going on at the slaughterhouse. There's basically a road which is not well paved whatsoever. There is a sidewalk that leads to nothing, And then there's another road, which is basically a dirt road, and there's nowhere to park, and the gate's locked, and you can't just casually walk around the slaughterhouse. So I drove on down the road about 1 mile, and I came to a predetermined tunnel connected to the slaughterhouse. I thought, if the tunnel's connected, maybe a spirit is traveling from the slaughterhouse through the tunnel. After watching 2 Ghost Adventure episodes where they postulated the theory that spirits go through tunnels. The episode in question, I can't remember the name or the season, but there were 2 haunted houses, supposedly, according to local legend and lore, and those 2 haunted houses were connected by a tunnel, a secret tunnel that was caved in like 50 years ago. So even though the tunnel was caved in, the spirits still theoretically could have been using it to go from house to house, when really, can't spirits just fly through the walls? Why would they need to go through a tunnel? It seems illogical. But he was so illogical that it made me curious. So I wanted to test out the theory of the tunnel and spirits attracted to tunnels for one reason or another. Maybe spirits attracted to tunnels the same reason they're attracted to caves. There are a lot of supposed haunted caves out there. And so, maybe for the same reason, they just like the old wet, damp, dark situation. I don't know. Who can understand the mindset of a spirit? But I tested it out. Happened to be a phenomenally haunted location. But most definitely there was a homeless person taking a nap and sleeping inside the tunnel. So when I heard him snoring, and it was very faint snoring, just like, I just basically heard the guy breathing. He was clearly sleeping. Often, and I'll mention this for the first time in the video, maybe on the channel, maybe I've mentioned it once, but I don't think so. When I ghost investigate, often, regularly, I've only now noticed the connection recently. When there's a sleeping homeless person 100 feet away, 200 feet away, 50 feet away, when there's a sleeping homeless person nearby, there's very frequently spirit activity going on. Why? I theorize it is the familiar spirit of the homeless person roaming free because they don't have any reason to hang out with a sleeping homeless guy. But these are spirits attached to the homeless person. They have to follow that homeless person for their whole life. Perhaps this spirit is somewhat responsible, but you can't always throw stones, even at inanimate, non-physical entities. But you can't always have a scapegoat and say spirits cause your downfall. You got to take responsibility for yourself at some point. But for one misfortunate reason or another, these people become homeless, and it's a really sad story. But I believe everyone has a familiar spirit that follows them around. I don't think it's wise to contact them or communicate with them. If you're a ghost hunter, it's probably virtually impossible to not. So I have to admit, it's possible I've communicated with my own familiar, thinking it was a spirit of a certain location, when really it's the one that's been following me my whole life. Pretty freaky concept, pretty freaky subject. I mentioned that in the book. There's an entire chapter talking and philosophizing about that very potential theoretical occult subject of familiar spirits. But I definitely believe familiar spirits get bored and tend to engage themselves in activity that they normally wouldn't when their human host is sleeping. It's a strange phenomenon, a strange way to look at the world. I recently watched a Ghost Adventures episode in the Hollywood Hills, where Zach Bagans is talking about portals in Hollywood, specifically the Hollywood Hills. The hills on the landscape of Hollywood, where there are gated communities, or not even gated, just really hard to access communities. For example, the Hollywood sign. The residents who live in front of and beside and around the Hollywood sign have made it illegal and forbid any non-locals, any tourists, from traipsing through their yard to go through these paths and get a picture up the Hollywood sign. Because, they're probably parking in front of these people's houses. I could see how it would be a nuisance. But in those very hills, supposedly, there are portals where entities have been reported. In this episode of Ghost Adventures, Holly Madison pretends to not know who Zach Bagans is when they've been dating. No big deal, whatever. But that's how Zach obviously heard the story that her house is haunted. So he does a full-blown investigation. I notice he's probably a little bit nicer to the spirits than he usually is. Zach tends to kind of yell at the demons. Make your presence known. F you. He'll literally like shout and curse and yell at the demons until he gets a response. But because he knows this individual, he's a little bit nicer to the spirits. But this owner, Holly, she said she heard like a demonic growl in her yard. It sounded like a movie demon, straight out of a movie. It sounded very freaky, and her dog, I think at one point reacted to it like, like the dog was like, But that would make sense if the dog didn't react to it too harshly. I think animals, dogs, cats, can see these spirits on a regular basis, such a regular basis, that it's commonplace and normal. So if you ever see your cat or your dog go, it's just a demon I see every day, no big deal. I think the demons generally leave dogs and cats alone. I think they target humans. I think they pretty much leave animals alone, except in rare circumstances. But so there's a freaking demonic growl, and then perhaps a separate story. Was there a golem-like creature crawling on all fours in her yard? And this is backed up by her landscaper, her gardener, just a guy that works on the premises. He said he saw and heard similar things in the same location. And it's pretty freaky stuff. I've had a theory about hills and mountains for a long time, that spirits hang out on hills and mountains. I have a story from a poltergeist hunter that said there's a story somewhere in the California hills. I can't remember where it was. This story mentions exactly where it is. And I'm going to go to that exact location. I'm going to travel. It's an open public hiking path. So some guy's hiking like at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. It's getting really dark to the point where he can't really see too well anymore. But he can see. It's just very low visibility. And the guy is probably traveling back to his car. When he rests on a boulder, he just sits down, takes a rest, and he hears someone running towards him. And that person is making foot-to-foot, human foot gravel noises on the ground. And he hears it getting louder, and then it passes him and goes right down the path. And this is on the top of a California hill. So very interesting. I believe these spirits do patrol, roam, and set up shop and camp and hang out, whatever the case. They occupy, they live to an extent on these hills, these hilltops, because it's a place they can physically and visibly and literally look down and see the human town, and they can, whatever, do their plots and schemes and scams or whatever the case. But maybe that's where a portal is. Maybe Zach Bagans is right. But I think it's more that there are no portals. I think it's more that they're here on a different plane and they can see us at all times. Whenever I hear someone say, that's what CERN is for, the Large Hadron Collider was built to bring demons from hell, I tend to greatly disagree and say they could just walk into your house if they want to. A demon can just walk in your house. So you do need to protect yourself. And how do you protect yourself? I don't focus too much on that in the book, but I do offer my advice on how to protect yourself. I probably offer 10 different ways to protect yourself against negative entities. Common sense. One of the ways, which I think is very underrated on protecting yourself against negativity, is keeping a physically clean location. Physically clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness, they say. But many a times I've seen Ghost Adventures crews of different variety, not just the Ghost Adventures group, just ghost hunters in general. They'll go into a basement that's the crustiest, dirtiest, dustiest basement on the planet, hasn't been cleaned for 200 years, it looks like, and there's a demon nest and objects are being levitated. Perhaps because it's a physically dirty location, if it was physically cleaned up. I think there's a location in Utah or Nevada where there was an old bar with a really dirty basement that's never been cleaned for 100 years. And apparently the crew couldn't get the demon out after various attempts. They couldn't. They were probably there for a week. They couldn't get the demon to budge. They're like, wow, you're going to need some special protection. You're going to need to get some exorcists or religious figures, whatever the case, to work on this thing. We tried our best. Bye. Is how that episode ended. My number one advice to that bar owner, and I don't know if he was even a bar. They might have turned it into a shop of something or another, but it was a bar back in the 100 years ago. My number one advice would be to physically clean the physical location, sweep up the physical dirt and debris, open the window. There was no window in this basement, but just vacuum up the dirt, whatever the case, shovel it out of there. A lot of floorboards just flying all over the place. Get the place nice, neat, and orderly. That would be step one. If it continues, and sometimes cleaning will actually trigger a spirit. Any type of physical change can sometimes trigger a spirit. I remember I had a set. I had a YouTube set, and part of my set was a bunch of black paper on my wall. I'm not talking about the black and white corners of rooms experiment. On the opposite corner was my original, or my previous set, had a bunch of just black paper. I bought a bunch of black poster board and I taped it to my wall. And even then it wasn't black enough. So I painted some of it to make it pitch black. Kind of reminds me of the walls of the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store is supposedly super haunted. I guarantee you negative entities love black walls. Anyway, I didn't know this. I just had black wall. I just had a corner which extended a couple feet. So I had a fully black, we're talking not construction paper, but poster board paper, and then painted black on top of the black poster board paper. So I had a completely black corner, and then a couple feet over, completely black. I mean, you saw the distance. I made it a good size for an HD video. So HD video size, and then the corner. So a pretty good length of black poster board on my wall for a number of years. I was moving out in like a year or 6 months. I wanted to prepare, wanted the place to look nice. I ripped it all down, and the single day I ripped all that black poster board paper down, the day I went to sleep, and there was poltergeist activity. There was shifting. I had some steel plates on top of my desk. I wanted to get a bunch of steel. First of all, I wanted one piece of steel for my desk that I built myself. I built this steel frame desk, and I wanted a steel top, and I couldn't find one. So I went to a used junkyard where they sold scraps and parts. And I bought 2 steel scrap plates. Who knows where they're from? Maybe an accident. I don't know where it came from. But I bought them for like $2 for one and $3 for the other. No big deal. $5 worth of steel. They were big enough to extend across the front where it covered probably 1/3 of the desk. And then I was going to try to find a couple more scraps to fill it in and then eventually weld it together or something. Anyway, the single night I pulled off all the black construction poster board paper, which I painted extra black. I threw it all in the trash, threw it all in the dumpster, no big deal. A large amount of poltergeist activity. The plates were moved. I heard them it was maybe 12 a.m. I'm trying to sleep. I'm hearing like a screeching, squealing noise of these plates shifting like a great amount. I never elaborately talked about it. I mentioned it probably in 2 previous videos, but because it paled so much in comparison to the full-blown levitation that happened like 1 or 2 weeks later, I never elaborated and focused and talked about the plates too much. I have the plates in my attic right now. Maybe they're from an accident, maybe it has nothing to do with nothing, but the spirit really wanted to move my plates, and it did so on 2 separate occasions. It did so that night. A couple days later, it moved the plates again. We're talking plates with a computer on top of it. The monitor, the full-blown tower, like really hard to move plates. And they were moved. I woke up and they were moved like many inches over. We're talking maybe half a foot over, whatever the case. They were really out of place, and that's when I knew what the sound was. As I was trying to sleep, I was like, what the heck is that sound? What is that? So the spirit tended to really get annoyed and irritated that I cleaned up and got rid of all the black wallpaper. Thought it was interesting. Like, did it prefer that corner? It's interesting. Do you have any questions in the chat? I'll be happy to read your chats. Do entities feed on fear? Lou asks. Entities feeding on fear. Well, demons, most definitely 100%. They love fear in a human. And when you display the exact opposite of zero fear, they almost react afraid of you. So when you have no fear of a demon, they have fear of you. Or at least, if they don't have fear of you, they're not interested in you at all. And they fly away and run away. The poltergeist incident, I don't want to go into elaborate detail, but a couple weeks later, and I've pieced this together in my head. Wow, the plate's moving and then the wires levitating. So a couple weeks later, I might as well get the date by searching it the way I got it originally last time. The reason I don't have a journal of this is when this happened, April 12th, 19, blah, 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 here's the exact date, is because when a freaking demon bothers you, you don't want to write down, demon bothered me on this exact moment. Good going, demon. Demon 1, me 0. I have the personal opinion that it encourages a demon. They see you recording their activity, and they're encouraged to continue to manipulate and bother you and harass you. I would see it as a motivational thing from them. Oh, this person is recording all these things I'm doing to it. If you brush it off and say, get out of here, I would think they would disappear more often. They would just leave you alone more often. But let me find the exact date of the wires levitating. This is how I found it. I remember I made a mental note that it was 2 days before my Friday the 13th live stream. This live stream took place in 2018. It was basically my last Corners of Rooms experiment, or my second to last. And let me search it on up. Go to content, I go to live videos, I scroll down, it's still there to this day. Friday the 13th live stream was on April 13th, 2018. Friday the 13th, obviously. 2 days before April 13, 2018, it was April, obviously, 11th, 2018. It was between 10 and 11 p.m. I was watching a show on Netflix. I remember making a mental note. Don't associate the Netflix show with the event, because then people will obsess on the Netflix show and they won't even care about your story. They're just going to talk about the Netflix show. So I almost performed some type of self-hypnosis, and even I forgot what the Netflix show was. It was something cheesy and corny. It might have been the Full House reboot. It might have been X-Files, but I'm not sure if the new X-Files was on Netflix. But it was around the same time frame as the new X-Files reboot. And I think it was around the time of the Full House reboot. Whatever the show was, doesn't matter. I can't remember. All I know is I'm watching some show on Netflix that I considered not too interesting, but at the same time, I still wanted to watch every episode. So I was kind of, what do they call it? When you watch every episode in a row, what do they call that? I was probably on my second episode in a row watching this new show. And I was drinking raspberry LaCroix. I was drinking raspberry LaCroix, my favorite flavor. More specifically at that time, it was really my favorite flavor. I had just nothing but, I only drank that. I had like, 48 raspberry LaCroix sitting in the garage, So that's all I drank. I'm not under any circumstances under the influence, is what I'm saying. But I needed to use the restroom. So I took my headphones off. I paused it, took my headphones off. I immediately heard someone in my room. Just the sound of someone shifting and walking in your room. I immediately heard that. And I was like, what the heck? And then I looked over my laptop and I saw a pile of my wires that I just ordered from Walmart.com no sooner than, I don't know, maybe 1 month prior. And these wires were on sale. Why do I go into elaborate, tiny detail of the wires being on sale on Walmart.com? I just want to build credibility. I just want to give you the most minute details on the object that was lifted by a poltergeist entity. These were on sale for, I think, $1.50 a piece, something to that effect. So it was such a good deal, I bought like 10, 15, 20 of them. I bought like way too many. I didn't need this many, but they were so cheap, and they're like super clearance, that I bought tons of these white wires, probably designed for the old iPhones. I don't know, they're pretty short. They had a nice L angle on every single one of them, and then the other side was straight. And I was using them with the new mixing board I just bought. So if you watch my channel regularly, which very few people do, you probably remember the video, or you can search it, where I'm driving and I have my GoPro. Speaking of GoPro, when I do a video in the future, I already have this ready to go. Here's my GoPro Hero 5. I have this cool little, I just bought this specifically for ghost investigating. This little, I think it's pretty cool. The little pops out. You have the GoPro. It's just for when you want a really close up on the meter or the device. You want a really super close shot on it. So I have a GoPro Hero 5, which I picked up, of all places, at Walmart. I think I got this on Walmart.com, shipped to store, and I picked it up at the store. No big deal. I got a good deal on it. It was on sale. And now these Hero 5s are super popular. And they cost like 3 times what they costed when they were brand new. So I liked it because it was aerodynamic in the fact that the camera's in the center. I specifically bought this for my drone so I could fly it, and I never did. But I have a Hero 4, which I did. So the Mysterialis shot from the sky is the Hero 4, whatever. So I got these $1.50 wires, too many of them. I plugged them in. But during that video where I have the Hero 4 in my car, and I'm driving around looking for a Radio Shack, and Radio Shack went out of business, and I didn't know that. Or at least the physical stores went out of business. They might still have a website. I was looking for connectors. In that video, I was looking for adapters at the Radio Shack to adapt to these plastic coated wires that I bought at Walmart.com. And I'm driving looking for these adapters. I eventually had to buy these adapters online. They got shipped to me, no big deal. But in that video, I get to a used bookstore that has a really good mixing board on sale. So I buy this mixing board. It was like, I think the mixing board was something like $50. And now this is like a $200 mixing board in pristine condition. Maybe $150, maybe $100. So $50, I thought it was a pretty good deal. I might have paid as low as $40 for it. Whatever the case, I'm making music for the channel. Corny YouTube intro music. I plug it in, I'm messing around, I'm watching these YouTube videos on how to plug in 1,000 things with 1,000 wires, and you just push one button and it creates a symphony of just repeating electronic, synth wave, techno style stuff, whatever, and you can turn up the echo, and you can make it echo and make it sound pretty cool, and then you can play keyboard over it and have it as a nice background music for an intro for a YouTube video, because I don't like copyright strikes. I make my own music for my channel. And I don't know, about a week prior at work, while on my work break, I'm drawing like elaborate schematics of like 20 wires connecting into these various devices. And I'm like drawing these elaborate schematics. I worked like an hour on drawing these schematics, connecting the wires to the device, and I tried to reproduce this. I tried to see if I could get it to work with these pedals, these guitar pedals, whatever the case. So I take off my headphones, all right? Hear a noise in my room of someone walking around. The door's closed, there's no animals, I'm by myself in my room at, it was about 11 p.m. to 10 p.m. on April 11th, 2018. And I see this pile of these white plastic-coated Walmart wires, plastic insulated Walmart wires, in a weird pile on my desk, the same metal desk where the steel plates were shifted like a week prior. I'm not thinking about the plates being shifted a week prior. I'm thinking, my very first thought was, I don't remember leaving my wires in a pile shaped like spaghetti being held into the sky. I don't remember my wires being in that pile. My second thought was, it's impossible for my wires to be suspended in that pile. There's a bunch of air in between the wires. My third thought was, that's levitation. You are witnessing poltergeist, demon, levitation for the first time. So when you see poltergeist, demon, levitation, your mind doesn't even comprehend what's going on in real time. Your mind is like, what is that? What is going on? What? And probably 10 seconds of looking at this thing levitating above my desk. After 10 seconds, it could have been 5 seconds, but it felt about 10 seconds. It dropped as if a hand went like this, and the wires dropped in a totally flat pile where they originally were. They were in a totally flat pile originally. They were levitated up maybe this high. So even though the bottoms of some of the wires were touching the desk during the levitation, some of the wires were not touching the desk and were full-blown levitating. But all in all the wires, and I estimate it was around 6 to 8 wires. To this day, I don't remember exactly how many, but I kept them in a bag, and I have them in a bag upstairs of the wires that were levitated by a poltergeist demon. So you asked me a question about fear. Do they feed off of fear? Most definitely. My response was, after I saw these wires dropped on my desk, levitated wires, and whatever the entity was, it was 100% invisible, optically invisible. I actually have a video I've never shown you guys, ever. I have a video I've never shown you. I filmed minutes after the levitating wires incident. I grabbed my camera and I started filming my room. And I just turn it on my face and I say, this just happened. Here's my room. It's a messy room. And that's it. It's a very short video. That's why I never uploaded it. Nothing happens. I filmed just to document. And I'm glad I did, because it shows you a little more of what a room that a demon poltergeist wants to show up and levitate an object looks like. It's a pretty messy room, cluttered with a bunch of crud, but you get to see the pile of wires on the floor. I point to the pile of wires on the floor. The entity stepped on the piles of wires on my floor, and these were black wires. These are just power supply wires. And this is, like I said, April 11th, 2018, 2 days before the live stream. So I jump up. When I see the impression being seen in real time, I saw my wires on the floor go like this, crunch, with wires being stepped on sound, which is not a loud sound. It's a very faint, very quiet sound. It's just a, here we have some play settings. You know, a very faint sound, kind of like that, but different. I knew where the entity was standing, okay? So I leapt up, I jumped up. I threw the laptop out of my way, I jumped up, and I walked immediately over to the impression that wires were being stepped on area, which was exactly next to my desk, exactly where the entity lifted up my wires. And in between me and where I knew the entity was my laundry basket empty, my empty plastic laundry basket. I either kicked or knocked my laundry basket really dramatically out of the way. I went like this. I think I kicked it. I just kicked it or moved it just a couple feet out of my way so I can, get to the entity. And I said, "Congratulations, you can move objects." And then I slammed the laundry basket out of my way. So when I talk directly to demons, I tend to be extremely sarcastic, extremely rude and crude, kind of out of my normal personality, So perhaps that has something to do with what demons do to a person. It's very odd, very strange, but when you witness levitation, you don't know how you're going to react, My reaction was to jump up, make a sarcastic comment, knock my laundry basket out of the way, and tell the demon that this is my house, these are my items, this is a messy room, but it's my messy room. I didn't give you permission to touch my stuff or enter my room. And I went on and on and on, probably for 2 minutes straight, saying how this is my stuff, this is my room, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized that in 2 days, I'm going to have a live stream. I know I've told this story many, 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 many times. But I mentioned this story in the book because I thought it was extremely important. Because not but a month earlier than this, give or take, I conducted the Corners of Rooms experiment, where I basically asked an entity to set off one of the devices in the corner of my room. And that's when I invited it. I didn't know it would linger in my room for like a month straight. And I didn't know it was going to pick up objects when the cameras weren't rolling. Let alone when I'm in bed watching a Netflix show, I got the strong impression that the poltergeist didn't know I was watching a Netflix show. So I felt like after I took off my headphones and I saw the levitating wires, I had the impression I missed half the show. I missed half of what this demon is doing in my room. Like, it's playing with a bunch of stuff in my room, and I'm totally oblivious watching a freaking show. I wish I got to see the wires picked up, but nevertheless, that's neither here nor there. I don't wish it happens again, to be honest. But those are the consequences to having a Corners of Rooms experiment in your room. So I greatly warn people in the book, and I talk about it at great length, even greater length than I've spoken about it now, in the book. The book, let me open it up real quick. Master manuscript. It is currently 121 pages. 100, kind of funny because I have a music video on my old channel, 1.21. I see 121 all the time. It kind of reminds me of that, you know. But that's not the final number. That's not. I haven't polished it yet. I haven't polished every chapter. I've polished a lot of chapters to the point where I'm making final artwork. I don't know. I guess I could show you another piece of artwork. Here's a rough draft of a couple demons I'm working on. I have a chapter on demons, like I said. So here's a couple demons I drew. I previously drew that demon a long time ago, but I worked on them, made them look a little bit better. Here's another demon in a robe. I'm working on making these guys look more legit. Woodcut style. I'm a big fan of the medieval woodcut style. So that's why I try to line art everything to keep it in the woodcut style. Not every chapter has a drawing or illustration. There aren't tons of drawings and illustrations, but 121 pages. Let me go through the chapters real quick. Chapter 1, To Believe. Chapter 2, A Worthy Mortal. This is my ghost hunting book. Chapter 3, To Know. Chapter 4, From the Fifth Dimension. Chapter 5, A Good Ghost Hunter. Chapter 6, Ghost Hunting Equipment, where I talk about my ghost hunting equipment I use. I even catalog and list every single piece of ghost hunting equipment I have. Just to give an example, anyone could match up the prices of these items. I have a lot of skeptics, a lot of people disbelieve in what I do. And I'm occasionally noticing, oh, this person thinks I'm some type of entertainer. If I was an entertainer, I would be making negative dollars an hour. I'm not doing a very good job as an entertainer. Entertainers tend to entertain, and they tend to get paid for it. I'm not an entertainer. One way I can sort of try to prove that is to just show you my ghost hunting equipment and show you that, hey, here's thousands of dollars of ghost hunting equipment. Does an entertainer buy thousands of dollars of ghost hunting equipment? Or does an entertainer buy a couple cheap props and pretend to ghost hunt? They go the cheap prop way. And more specifically, they'll grab a K2 meter, and that'll be their go-to. Here's my K2 meter. Got a K2 meter. Not to say spirits can't set off K2 meters. I've seen enough videos where spirits can set off anything. And I have a theory about that. You know what? Let me go grab it right now. I'm going to go grab it. Intermission. If you need to use the powder room, I'm going to go grab a device that I specifically bought recently for ghost investigating, with the theory and the concept and the belief that spirits can set off almost any single digital electrical piece of equipment. So I went the most radical route I could think of and got the most radical item I could think of that a spirit could set off. It's upstairs, so I gotta go grab it. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay, here is the most radical device I could think of to attempt to use for ghost investigating. But let me just go through the rest. Okay, I'll just show you this real quick. I'll go through the rest of my chapters. Now, I'm basically just going to give you the titles of the different chapters. I got to keep some secrets. Here it is. Have you ever seen the show Quantum Leap? Have you ever seen the old 80s, late 80s TV show, Quantum Leap, starring Scott Bakula. Scott Bakula, great actor. What is it, NCIS New Orleans or something that he's doing on now? But I'm a huge fan of Quantum Leap. So I had to get the old gummy bear hand link. So this is the Quantum Leap gummy bear hand link. And yes, it's a prop replica reproduction, but it's a working prop replica reproduction of the actual hand link. Now it's just a replica. It has many different sound effects. Even has hidden secret sound effects that you have to find through hidden means. So the creator isolated the highest quality sound effects from the actual gummy bear hand link from Quantum Leap. This isn't a cheap device. It's so expensive, I'm still making payments on it, all right? Why would I do that? Huge fan of the show, huge fan. You know, when you're isolated during a pandemic, you go a little bit crazy, all right? This is one of the craziest things I've ever bought, all right? And I haven't even paid it off yet. So I gotta be very fragile and delicate with it. But it makes really cool sound effects. And when you hit it, it even makes the sound effect it makes on the show. And I'm going to take this device with me. Yeah, there's a shifting where you can shift the lights button. I'm going to take this on a ghost investigation. And I'm going to ask the spirits. I'm going to make sure it's a legitimately haunted location with a different device in my hand first. But then I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to say, can you push any of these buttons? This is not a ghost investigation device. It's not rigged with any self-button pushing procedures. You literally physically have to push the button, but you don't have to apply too much pressure. And it is my theory that a spirit can set this off, most definitely. I think it'll be interesting to test it out. Yes, Al from Quantum Leap. He was an amazing character on that show, and yes, the actor passed away. Rest in peace. Al Calavisi was the fictional character played by the actor Dean Stockwell. Dean Stockwell did a great job playing this character. Easily my favorite character on the whole show, even more so than the main character. But I'm going to use this in future ghost investigations, and we will see if I can confirm the theory that spirits can set off anything. A lot of people, gosh, I literally just turned it off and put it in here. And it's back on. Oh my gosh. Now maybe that's just a one-time deal. It's off. You physically have to flip a switch. Please stay off. Maybe it shifted and it accidentally flipped on. Anyway, I don't want the battery to die. It has a USB, micro USB charger. You got to plug it in there. It's so delicate, I don't want to plug that in too many times. So, you might be taking a break, whatever the case. Does anyone have any questions? He leapt into Lee Harvey Oswald. I mean, I'm sure he leapt into a lot of people. I've probably seen almost every episode. I'm a big fan of the show, but I haven't seen those episodes since they first aired, or maybe reran for the first time. You like my time travel video? Ghosts were discovered 1,000 years ago. Okay, so Colin asks, are ghosts or demons immortal, or do they eventually die like a person does? Uh, my theory is spirits are intelligence and spirits are consciousness. And you couldn't kill them if you wanted to. You can't destroy consciousness, but you, I guess, can put it to sleep to an extent. You can't destroy intelligence. You can perhaps move it around, but you can't really destroy it, is my opinion. I know there are different groups which say otherwise. There are different groups that say demons live and die and have a family and just have a longer lifespan. I mean, from my personal experience, they never die ever. I just watched a video, just a few second long video, on Courtney Cox. Oh my gosh. This is kind of an update on the channel. So Courtney Cox was on Jimmy Kimmel talking about ghosts. It's the only reason I got the alert on my email. Courtney Cox says her house is haunted, or her house was haunted and she moved. So Courtney's just casually talking to Jimmy Kimmel. He brings up, oh, I heard your house was haunted. She says, yeah, obviously, these shows are all rigged and staged. I mean, we all know how it works. Before the show, he asks her, what do you want to talk about? She'll say, my house was haunted. I'm plugging this TV show, yada, yada, yada. Here's a couple of funny stories I have. He'll say, okay. He'll write it on a note. Then they'll pretend it's a fresh conversation. Whatever. But her house was actually haunted. How it ties into this channel is this. Does anyone remember my David Bowie saw the devil in his swimming pool video? Does anyone remember that? Now, I've literally heard my video, my David Bowie, I have a new fish shirt. I don't know if you noticed, I got a nice Harlan Williams fish shirt. It's like a piranha. It's a really nice piranha shirt. I don't know if anyone remembers my David Bowie saw the devil at a swimming pool video, but I've literally just randomly watching. We're talking, for some reason or another, watch a video on Aleister Crowley, right? I'm not a Crowley fan, all right? I was just looking at some historical research video project on perhaps his house that got burned down, you know? And then there's a suggestion on the side. I click it. And it goes to it goes to one of those organizations claims to be associated with Crowley, the old Golden Dawn, right? So I clicked the Golden Dawn video, and the guy's literally referencing my David Bowie in the devil pool, blah, blah, blah. David Bowie saw the devil at a swimming pool video. He literally references my video in the Golden Dawn video. But he never mentions me by name. He never mentions my channel by name. He never mentions me by name. But I look at the date of the video. And the video is posted 1 month after my David Bowie. His video is posted 1 month after my David Bowie in the swimming pool video. So clearly 1 month prior to this video being posted, the head Golden Dawn guy in California, which some people say he's not the Golden Dawn guy, and it's a different Golden Dawn guy, and there's a feud on who's the real Golden Dawn, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, all right? I just thought it was funny he watched my video, and of course doesn't give me any credit for my video. And then I watch a couple other random videos of people talking about my video, don't give me any credit. Now, I understand, independent of my video, it's a true story, which I referenced to make the video, of course. David Bowie actually saw an entity while possibly high or possibly not high. I think it really doesn't matter whether he was high or not, okay? He saw something that frightened him so much he moved out of the house. So, it doesn't really matter if he was high or not, okay? It doesn't matter if he's drinking milk and eating cayenne peppers, okay? And snorting some of the white china, you know? It really doesn't matter, okay? What matters is he saw something in that swimming pool room that scared him so much that he went to the local occult bookstore, bought some exorcism books, and tried to perform an exorcism rite himself in the swimming pool room. This house, he was renting was formerly owned by Gypsy Rose Lee. So Bowie never owned it. He rented it for a number of months in the 70s. So it became famously known as a haunted house. I understand long before my video I ever posted. That is correct. But a lot of people never heard that story until my video, which does have a lot of views. It's one of my most viewed videos. David Bowie saw the devil in a swimming pool. It took me a great number of hours to create that video, put it together. Probably took me 10 hours to put that video together, maybe 20 hours, I don't know. But it took me a lot of work to put that video together. Anyway, aside from that, Courtney Cox owned that house, owned by Gypsy Rose Lee. Courtney Cox owned it. And so Courtney Cox, you know, she hears that it's haunted, or maybe she sees and hears some strange things in her house. And then the UPS guy, this is in the Jimmy Kimmel interview, the UPS guy says, "Did you know this house is haunted?" First of all, the UPS guy probably watched my video, but aside from that, it goes around town. Everyone knows that Gypsy Rose house is haunted. And she says, "Oh, why do you say that?" And he says, "Because there's someone standing behind you." And that's the story. The UPS guy said there's someone standing behind you. How does he know it's a ghost? Unless that UPS guy is psychic and can see dead people, or can see ghosts, can see spirits. So that UPS guy's comment only makes sense if he's psychic and has the ability to distinguish humans from spirits. If he's not psychic, he's just going to see someone standing behind Courtney Cox and say, "Oh, there's your roommate, whatever, here's your box." But he made the comment either to freak her out or to out himself as a psychic or a spirit medium, or someone that's gifted in the ability to see, discern spirits optically. So that's an interesting story. I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty freaking interesting. And if you look at that Gypsy Rose Lee's house on Google Maps, you can see the pool doesn't have a room. The pool is open. So I theorize that the owners freaking knocked down the freaking walls. That room was so haunted, they knocked down the walls, and the pool room just became the pool outside. It's now an outside pool. But you know, there's a gated area, but there's no more walls. When Bowie rented it, there was walls, and it was a pool room. So yeah, man, pretty freaky stuff. But the reason I mentioned that interview isn't because of the Gypsy Rose Lee house or the haunting or David Bowie's video that I did, whatever the case. The reason I mentioned that video is because at the end, Jimmy Kimmel says, "You don't need to be scared of ghosts because ghosts aren't real." Courtney Cox, by the way, "Ghosts aren't real. Here's my theory on how ghosts can't possibly be real. Because I'm the geniusly smart Jimmy Kimmel. And here's the genius reason why I know ghosts are fake." First of all, Jimmy Kimmel's probably spiritually one of the most detached human beings on the face of the earth, okay? No offense, he runs a fine establishment of hilarious comedy and guests that plug their amazing artistic wares. But the fact of the matter is, Jimmy Kimmel, which he's not going to watch his videos, doesn't matter, but the fact of the matter is this. Okay, let me elaborate on his theory. Jimmy Kimmel's theory is, if there's a ghost in your house, how come there aren't millions of ghosts in your house? If after someone dies in a hospital, wouldn't there be 1 million dead people in that? Wouldn't there be 1 million ghosts in that hospital? Wouldn't there be so many millions of ghosts everywhere that it would be like Coachella, just trying to get through the crowd in the mosh pit? You could barely walk around. There'd be ghosts everywhere. It'd be crazy. And Courtney Cox says, "Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, you make a good point. That's true." I mean, anyone who's thought about the concept of ghosts and spirits has obviously already had that thought. I had that thought probably 30 years ago, probably 20 years ago, okay? It's a child's thought. It's a thought of a child, okay? Where it goes beyond that is, okay, you have a child's understanding that millions of people have died. Congratulations, millions of people died in that location. Wow, you figuring out cavemen died, and then their children, their children's children, and then thousands and thousands of years of people died in a close proximity location. There should be at least 100,000 spirits in this area, correct? That is correct. Mathematically, that is correct. So you're looking at the spirit world in perspective of math, but human ghosts only hang around for 3 days. Or longer, give or take, but let's say 3 weeks tops. Human spirits hang around for 3 weeks tops, and then they go to another dimension where they have zero contact with the earth. Zero. Like David Bowie said in his video, I dropped my cell phone down below. I don't have any contact. I can't call you guys up and say, hey, what's up? He has zero contact. David Bowie knew he was going to die. He metaphorically, symbolically mentioned how he's going to be dropping his cell phone because he can't make any more calls to the earth plane anymore. So even David Bowie understood at death, human ghosts have zero contact with the living. Despite the hundreds of psychics and mediums that claim to be talking to David Bowie every single day, they're not. They're either crazy or talking to spirits that have zero to do with David Bowie. I can tell you one thing. There's only one spirit walking around that has anything to do with David Bowie, and it's the familiar spirit of David Bowie. So that's the loophole of how is information ever transferred. It can be transferred by the familiar spirit. While the human ghost goes to the human ghost dimension, totally cut off, the familiar spirit assigned from birth to death of that human is still a demon in the demon ranks. A familiar spirit is in the demonic ranks. Don't worry about it. It's a low demonic rank. It's such a low demonic rank, you could almost consider them neutral, but I would not. I would not consider them neutral at all. But these are my theories, all right? It's my channel. I can throw my theories out there. The reason there's only one ghost in a house and not a million is because only one demon is assigned to that location. That would give you the indication that there aren't millions of demons. There's just one here and one there. But the fact is, there are millions of demons. But they're spread out on such a militaristic, plot for plot, grid for grid, person for person basis, that there aren't 1,000 demons following one guy. That's a waste of troops. That's a waste of the army. Sending a legion after one guy, it's kind of a waste. Unless it's someone huge, unless it's someone big, unless it's some major leader. The devil's not going to waste his troops on one dude, unless he's someone of extreme influence. But, you know, it is what it is. I know for a fact there's a couple demons hanging out in the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. There's a couple demons hanging around here, hanging around there, hanging around everywhere. There's probably one demon permanently assigned to that Gypsy Rose Lee's house. But it's more than just one. It's the one that can manifest enough for us to notice it. I guarantee there's going to be servants. There's a servitude structure with these spirits. The higher the ranking of a negative entity, the more servitude spirits they have underneath it. And I do believe high-ranking spirits can make an appearance, can make their presence known, but kind of like a rich and famous person, a high-ranking spirit's going to grow bored easily and quickly. They're going to lose interest easily and quickly. And high-ranking negative entities, they're going to act like celebrities. They're going to be like, I could care less. I could destroy you like that, but I'm not interested. So I tend to get the impression that's how high-ranking entities act and react, unless they act more monk-like. There might be some more monk-like ones that hang out for 1,000 years on the top of a mountain. In which case, they're going to be like, I don't even care about humans. Don't care. But that one I'm going to destroy. And they go and they destroy that human. And whatever the case. I mean, sometimes you want to stay out of the way of negative entities. You just want to ignore their existence. In my book, I do mention at least 10 methods to anti-ghost hunt, to do the exact opposite of ghost hunting. You don't want to have any or show any fear of them. You don't want to have any fear of them. You got to understand they've been here forever. Before you were born, they've been around. After you die, they're going to be around. There aren't millions of them around from the perspective of they're having the ability to manifest from their dimension to our dimension. Only a few here and there can manifest from their dimension to our dimension. If anyone has any questions, I'm just going to read more of the chapters in my book. I've written 121 pages, and this is actual pages. These are not... I can't pick up my phone and show you, but I suppose I'll show you right here. Here's my book, all right? Here's 3 pages of my book. I'm not going to show you the top page because I don't want to give away the title. But here is my book. Here's the 121 pages of my book. If there's a blank spot, this is where I'm going to put a drawing. This is the demon drawing. It's going to go right above this demon chapter. But I do have 121 pages of the book. It is going to be self-published and printed in hardcover. Probably a year later, it's going to be printed in soft cover. And probably a year after that, or perhaps at the same time, really depends on how things go. I will eventually make it available for Kindle. I just want to try to steer clear of PDF. Maybe I'll even have a voiceover. Maybe I will voice over it, and have an audio version. But here's the end. Here's page 121 right there. And I skipped, I don't know, I probably skipped 10 or 20 pages, but if you count that up, it does equal. And these are pretty small font. The size is pretty small. I'm using an old-fashioned font. I think it looks pretty good. Chapter 1, to believe. Chapter 2, a worthy mortal. Chapter 3, to know. Chapter 4, from the 5th dimension. Chapter 5, a good ghost hunter. Chapter 6, ghost hunting equipment. That's basically where I stopped off last time. Chapter 7, my investigations with scouting spirits. And that title's a work in progress, scouting spirits. What I'm talking about is spirits that have the ability to scout ahead. I've noticed familiar spirits, or just spirits attached to human beings, which could be demons. You know, some people could even say they're guardian angels, but I don't think guardian angels can really be detected by ghost hunting equipment. Why not? Because guardian angels are such ascended beings. Angels in general, we're talking the positive good ones, they're such ascended beings. They're stepping, this is the end of the video. So I'm going to make a part 2 of this video, perhaps, but I have to end the video. I thank you for watching. Let me try to get one answer to one question. I got to end the video. I'm going to read your questions and answer them in the next video. But I thank you for watching. This has been John W.F. Hughston. Until next time, be seeing you.